Sweet. All right, cool. Moses, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Andrew, how are you?
I'm doing well. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Lots of stuff going on. I'm
Yeah.
excited to sort of dive into full stack building, right? Because like when you build in FlutterFlow, you can build full stack apps. It's possible, and you can build robust applications. Even though we're finally launching our article around prototyping in FlutterFlow, and why we have opted for robust prototypes or proof of concepts in FlutterFlow rather than a Figma. But you can
Yes.
build full-on applications, right? We're doing that. You're helping us at Kaleo with multiple projects and launching those to the public. So building full stack apps is going to be extremely fun, and we're going to be utilizing Buildship, right?
Yes.
I'll let
Yes.
you introduce yourself for those. I'm sure most people know you, and most people have seen you on Buildship's channel. But why don't you go ahead and give a little intro to who you are?
Yes. Yes. So I'm Henry Moses. Everyone calls me Moses. My background is software engineering. I spent some time around like a year and a half teaching people how to build using FlutterFlow and Buildship. And then I joined Andrew probably a couple months ago. Um, and we've just been building apps where I solely focus on the back end. So sometimes I write code. Most of the time I use Buildship. But today I'm excited to build a full stack application with Andrew.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So the premise that we've done this before with Buildship, actually, just trying to like build out an invite user flow. We have this in multiple applications right now. So Moses is helping us at Kaleo. We're building products for startups and for companies that are trying to digitize their processes, right? So like some of them already have CRM, some of them already have pen and paper for their tasks and stuff, and we are building out software for them so they can digitize those processes. And one of the things that always gets brought up is, hey, how do I invite users to my platform? Right? Like I have an application. I want them to track data from customers or review data, or I want a support person. I want to sort of moderate the user type that I can invite to my admin panel. How do I do that? And we have been building out these flows where an admin can go in and send an invite to an email, and we'll create a user account in the back end, send an email with the email and password, and then allow that user to sign in and then change their password and then update it in the back end. Now, that sounds like if you come from software development, that's an extremely common flow. But in FlutterFlow, it's not possible with just the front end. You have to
Yep.
have a back end. You have to have some cloud functions to create that other authenticated user, right? And send an email, which requires another API, right? We're going
Yep.
to use resend, I think.
Yep.
And then you can do the rest of that stuff in FlutterFlow. But you have to have some cloud functions to manage, other authenticated users in your account. So I wanted to bring Moses on because this is something that I've always wanted to know and learn, because like even in my no code UI platform, like people are like, "Oh, send me an invite." I'm like, Just go sign up. Just sign up on the page, right?" Like it's really easy. But sending invites is a lot more professional, right? And if you have a SaaS, and this will also sort of touch on sending emails, right? Any SaaS needs email, either marketing or just transactional emails for when new tasks are assigned, when new things happen that need your attention, etc. So I've invited Moses. You have access to that FlutterFlow project, right?
Let me look.
Should be called Kanban app. We're gonna see this. This was gonna be a template, or like I'm building this to be a template of FlutterFlow. So or in the FlutterFlow marketplace. So maybe we'll include this stuff. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yes, I'm in there.
Rock on, dude. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. And Renee, nice to have you join. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to build out the two things that we need in FlutterFlow. Um, and then we will, you can explain the backend flow. So here, right, last week we did some swipe actions on Task Manager app. What I didn't show you was the responsive version of that app, which is a Kanban board that allows you to drag and drop, tasks, right? Because you can do drag and drop in FlutterFlow as well, and you have been able to for quite some time. So this is the app I would like to sort of create, but I need a user management section. So I'm going to add a page here, and I'm going to say user. I'm going to try to do a responsive page if there is one. Let's just see what responsive pages we have here. Some login pages here. I bet you something like, well, something like this little guy, maybe. We'll just use this, right? I'm just going to utilize this. I'm going to say invite, users all. Okay. And I don't need this stuff. I'm going to sort of like reconfigure this, right?
Nice.
To, because I have stuff already. But this is how we utilize templates, right? This is how we utilize templates in at Kaleo. We say, hey, this is a good base, but it's not what we want. So let's just adapt that. Let's see. We have main nav here. Yes, that's what I want. I want my main nav. And we'll remove that one. Cool. So we have that. And now we can adjust this back. We can remove this section. I don't need it. We can remove this section. I don't need it. I just sort of want this user section, and I want this button up here. Right.
Nice.
I want to invite a new user. I'm going to add in some padding here. Oh, that's not what I want. I want this column here. Add in some spacing there. Yeah. All right. My users. So we want a button here that says invite users. Now, this is not the only thing we want. We want a modal, right? That allows you, I'm going to just add a component. Modal. This is the best thing. So let's see. We already have an invite one. Oh my gosh. Like here. We had one that I was going to use that I just used for, well, guess not. We'll just do this one. All right. Modal invite users. All right. And look at there. It already automatically adapts to our theme, right? So we get it. What we get to do is we're going to enter an email here. We're going to add it to the list, right? So you can add multiple emails here. And you don't have to do multiple emails, right? Do you want to do multiple emails or you just want to do one, Moses?
Either one works.
Which one's
Either one
easier?
works.
We only have an hour. We have 52 minutes now.
Yeah. One is easier. But it would be cool to show people multiple.
For sure.
Yeah.
We'll set it up for multiple, right? And all we're gonna do is we're gonna set up a user list here, right? List, yeah, email list. Okay, and it's just gonna be a list of strings. Is list, boom. We can remove that. And then this list view, we're just going to say, hey, emails added. And we're just going to show that list of strings here. Boom. All right, sick. And then we can just say, hey, give me this email. And in this little guy, right, we have a little plus button here. So all we want to do is we want to update component state, email list. We're going to add to list, and we're going to add this email here. So we're going to add that email. It's going to go down here, but that's not all we want to do, right? Again, it's like a math equation. There's the first equation and then the next one. Then we want to clear the text field. Boom. Sweet. So add email to list. Okay. And then same here, right? If you want to like remove this, we're going to say update component state. Oh, not update document. Update component state. And email list. And we're just going to remove this one. Remove from list this email that's added. Okay.
Nice.
Pretty fairly easy, right? I mean, that was pretty simple. Um,
Yep.
and then what we're going to do, what Moses is going to do, is he's going to take this, basically just the first email, right? We can just say
Yep.
like, hey, first email enlist. We're going to send the invite, and and he's going to make his action on this little button down here.
Yep.
So let me,
Yep.
and I'll let you explain that. Yeah, I'll let you explain if you want to, like, I don't know, touch on stuff. I'll do some stuff in the background because what I want to do here is, make sure that we
Uh,
can get to the user thing and all that fun stuff. So
yeah. Yeah. Cool. So after Andrew is done, I'm going to basically build a backend for Buildship that's going to take in that list. And then what's going to happen is that we're going to generate a test password, and then we're going to make an account for each user in Firebase with that test password. And what we're going to do is take that email, that test password, and then a login link, and then send that to their email. When they get the email, they're able to click the link. It'll take them to a page, and then they'll be able to enter the details we gave them, and then they'll be able to create their own password. So it's kind of that simple. And then the email, like Andrew said, the email servers that we're going to use is resend. Um, yeah, yeah,
nice, nice. So anytime you want to take over share and build that out or showcase that, no problem. I'm just going to refine a few things in the UI here. And so that when we get back, right, we can navigate to this page and you can send stuff. So, but yeah, if you would like to, yes,
can you see
sick.
my screen?
I can.
Cool.
Yeah,
Beautiful. Let's get into my favorite platform.
perfect. Other than FlutterFlow, obviously.
I don't know. I don't know. There's
Yeah,
no one without the other, you know?
yeah,
It's like a match made in heaven,
you're right.
for
You're right.
sure. For sure. So what I'm going to do, if you're new to Buildship, basically Buildship is a low code backend builder. I like to call it visual programming because I feel like you still do an aspect of programming. You just don't have to code. A cool thing about Buildship is that you can also leverage AI to build what I like to call nodes. So nodes are the building blocks of each workflow. And I'm actually going to use some AI a little bit to create a node for generating a password. But let's create a new flow. So I'm going to call it invite user templates. And then it creates a brand new workflow. And then the first thing you want to do is add a trigger. So there's multiple trigger types in FlutterFlow, not FlutterFlow, my apologies, Buildship. In this case, I'm going to use the REST API call. And this is important because this will allow me to have an endpoint. Then I would take that endpoint, put it into FlutterFlow, and then I'll be able to call this API once I'm done. So I'm going to add trigger. I'm going to call it user, well, invite user. I'm going to do a post. And then the first thing I want to do is actually I want to configure the data that I need in order to make this workflow happen. So I do that by going to these three buttons, go to edit, and then come over to request, and then come down to body. And we know if we break down the problem that we're solving, we know that we're going to take in an email. And then something else we probably want to account for is the user that's inviting this user. So I'm going to put in we're going to put in user ID. And this is going to be the ID of the user that's inviting this user.
Sweet.
Cool. And I think that's all we need for now. So I'm going to click save. And actually, one thing I want to account for is that because we're taking in multiple emails, I'm actually going to change this to an array. Now I'm
Okay.
going to save. So beautiful. So now that we have that, the next thing we want to do is I'm going to actually create a flow where I loop through the array and then I create an account for each user. I generate a password. Well, I generate a password first. I create an account for each user and then I send them an email. And then no matter how long the array is, it's going to loop through the array. So if it's one email, we do it one time. If it's five
Yep.
emails, we'll do it 5 times. So I'm going to create a loop. And then for the item, because we already set our emails to an array, I'm going to go to requests, come down to body, and then go to emails. And then when it comes to here, you can use a function within JavaScript that if you go to requests, come back to emails, and then you do dot length, it basically will get the size of the array and then it will iterate that many times.
Nice.
Cool. So now that we have that, the first node that we need to create is a generate password node. So I'm going to go to generate and I'm going to use AI. So I'm going to say given a number of characters, actually, I'm just going to set it myself. So given a start, which is basically when the node starts, I want to generate a password with 6 unique values. Sorry.
All good. This is very interesting.
Yeah. And return the password. Let me change this.
Cool.
So giving a number, I want to create a password in the length of that number and return that password. And the cool thing in Buildship is that you can use this play button right here to test. So I'm actually going to put 6, come here, and then go to run node.
That is nice.
Yep, and it gave me
Sick.
a test
Oh,
password.
looky there.
Cool. So now that we have the generate password node, the next thing we want to do is create an account in Firebase. So I'm going to come to Firebase. Well, actually, Firestore.
True.
Uh,
Oh, you know what?
so
Do you want
yeah,
me to invite you to the Firestore, Tom Bean?
yes, yes.
Yeah, I will do that. All right,
So
let me do that.
so while he does that, I'm going to. So you have to do 2 things when it comes to inviting a user and creating, um, basically logging them in Firebase. So you need to create the email and password, and also you need to create a document that refers back to that user. So I'm actually going to come and I think I use Firebase to create a Firebase user, and I use Firestore to create a document.
Yep.
Beautiful. So I'm going to wait for the project ID. I'm just going to go into Firebase and get that. But for now, I'm going to configure this. So when it comes to the full name, Andrew, is that something you want to collect, the full name? Because that's something they asked me for. Or I can just put
Ooh.
invited user.
Yeah, no, we could do a full name. That way the
Okay.
user doesn't have to do that. So I'll add that as well. Maybe we'll do a data type. Well, yeah, just let me know. So it'd be sort of like a data type instead of just a email. So, but yeah, we can do that.
Yes. If that's the case,
I think it's easier probably just for emails now.
yeah. I'm just
Let's
going to
just
put
do that.
invited user for now.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
maybe create away. Yeah, that's fine.
that works. That works.
Invited user, and then I'm going to put the email. Remember that we have a list of emails. So a cool thing to access that list, I'm going to go to loop. I'm going to come to item, and it's automatically going to get the position that is currently in the loop, and then take that email. And then because the password is within the loop, I'm going to go to generate password, and that password will be unique every time.
Cool.
And then for here, we're going to do the collection name users. The document ID is going to be the document ID we get from the Firebase user. And we come down to create Firebase user, go to UID.
Nice.
And when it comes to the data, we know that we want to set the email. And I think The other thing is probably logging in the test password,
Yep.
maybe. Yep. Uh, and then maybe some type of status that will check if they have claimed their account. Because if it's false, we set it to false, and then what will happen is that once they use this email and password, we will automatically redirect them to reset password.
Nice.
So I'm going to set that to false. I'm going to, the test password is going to be generate password, and then the email is going to be loop item. And then whenever you use, I guess when you set a JSON or you set, because this is JSON and it's just an
Yep.
object, you have to make
Yep.
sure you add a comma after each key value pair.
Nice. Okay. That's very beneficial because
Yeah,
I always mess that stuff up. That's where I get stuck with Buildship. I get stuck with the JSON stuff, which is stupid
yeah.
because it's super easy, but my little brain just can't handle it sometimes.
No, you're good. You're good. So now that we have that, so if we just do a recap, we have the REST API call. We're looping through the email array, and then in the loop, we're generating a password. We're creating a Firebase user, and we're taking that password and that email at that position of the loop to create the user, and then we're creating a document that will use that same UID. Yeah, so now that we have the Firebase user, we have the document, the last thing we want to do is send the email. So I'm going to come down to resend, and then I'm actually going to go to my resend account and grab the API key. Going to go invite user, add, copy. And a cool feature in Buildship is that instead of putting your API key right here where it's just accessible to anyone, not only watching this, but anyone that has access to your Buildship account, you can come to secrets. You can come down to add secret key, and then I can name it resend. Come down to secret value, then I can click save.
Nice. Love that. Hopefully you're not going to. Hopefully you're going to remove that. After we're done with this.
Yes, yes, yes. They didn't see the whole thing though.
Nice. Nice. Okay.
So
Cool.
yeah, that's why I didn't paste it in there. It's like I'm just going to create a secret. Um, cool. So we have our API key, and then I have this test email that I've used for other projects. So I'm going to use that. Don't mind that. And then, so this is where it gets important. So we're going to send this to the email that's at the position of the loop, which is
Yep.
item. And then I also like to send it to my personal email to make sure every time it's sent, I can basically see the email that's being sent. And it's kind of cool. We're testing that you can see, okay, it works. So I'm going to do that for now to see if it's working. And then I'm going to make sure I put it in parentheses. Cool. And then the subject is going to be welcome to our app.
Nice.
And then HTML. So I'm actually going to use, actually for now, it doesn't matter. I was going to make it fancy with HTML, but for now we could just put the basic email password and then the link. So
Yeah. Yeah.
when email, and then that email is going to be loop item password, generate password,
Nice.
and then sign in here. And then I don't have that link yet, but when I get that link, I'll put it here.
Okay. Okay.
Cool.
Nice.
And then I want to probably return a value that will tell me that the loop is completed. So I'm
True.
going to create a message that makes sense. So I'm probably going to do the number of emails that we pass through. That number users have been created. So
Okay.
I'm going to do request body email length dot dot. I'm actually going to do JavaScript just to make sure that data is being passed through. Cool. So now that we have our backend flow set up, let's go into Firebase and let's get our project ID.
Sweet.
Andrew, while I do this, do you have any questions, anything you're thinking?
So you did a few different nodes, right? In the Buildship. You first said, I want to generate a custom password for this user, right? And then you send an email, and you're sending that email. You're sending the templated email from resend to the email address in the loop with the email and password and the generated password. I
Yep.
like that. I like that. Okay. Cool. So this
Yeah.
top node in Buildship, well, whenever so this top, okay, let's see. Loop, generate password, nice. And then you're creating that Firebase user and you're attributing that email from whatever one's in the loop, right? And then the generated
Yep.
password. Okay, sick. And then you're creating the user document. That's very key, right? We're doing two things in Firebase. Creating the authenticated user account, right? That's different than a user document. The
Yep.
authenticated user, because you can just use Firebase auth if you wanted to, and you could use Supabase whatever if you wanted to, or no code, or Xano or something. But yeah,
Yep.
we're creating the Firebase user auth, and then to create the user document, and then we're sending an email to that user. Love it. This makes a lot of sense. Yep, cool. I can grab the Firebase uh, project ID for you, and I'll send it to you via chat.
Cool. And also, did you share it with me in Firebase?
I did. You are an owner. It should
Okay, I
be
don't see
on
it.
your Mos. Yeah, you should be. Go down
On which
events app right
email?
there. It's that events app right there.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful.
Yep. So boom, and then let's go. Let's see if we can.
I'm going to test this real quick to make sure
Okay.
it works before I run it. I'll do Moses test gmail.com. Then 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Run code.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, so I thought this was going to happen. So
Ah,
basically in Buildship in Firebase, I thought it
yep,
was just my email, but I guess every project I have to do this. So you
yep.
have to go to settings, and this is important for everybody watching. You have to
This
go to
is good.
settings.
Yep.
Yeah, you have to come down to service account,
Okay.
and you're going to come back to your Firebase, and we need to go to the console. So I'm going to go to Google Console. I believe that's what it's called.
Yep.
Um, this is yeah. No, this is not it. Let me go to the documentation real quick because they have the link in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it in like the cloud?
Yes, yes.
Yep.
The Google Cloud Platform, yes. So you come here, and then what you need to do is find that specific project. So I'm going to go to all. I'm going to make sure I'm in that account, which I'm not currently, and I'm going to change to that account. Then I'm going to come down and look for that specific project. So events app, and then I'm going to come down to the navigation menu and come to, I don't know the abbreviation. I guess you say IAM, or what does it
Yeah.
stand for?
I have no
Yeah,
clue.
but yeah, essentially you come here and then what you do is come over to grant access. we're going to put that in new principles. And then
Nice.
I'm going to come down to documentation. And as you can see, assign the role to cloud database user and also Firebase admin, SDK administrator, service agent. So
Nice.
this basically gives Buildship access to read and write from your database.
Yep. This is good to know, right? As you're setting up
Yeah, it's
Firebase,
important.
and this was also asked. So the Slongest asked, in Buildship, do you have control over the Firestore rules? How do you deal with Firestore rules on both FlutterFlow and Buildship? So what we're doing here is we're granting, because like in the back end, right? From my understanding, it's sort of it's in a secure area, the back end. So we are
Yes.
overriding some of those rules. So our front end rules, which is in Firebase, you tell me if I'm wrong, right? Eli is
Yes,
also
you're correct.
sort of answering what Eli is saying, right? So the Firestore rules, we're saying, hey, this is the user collection, and like keep this secure. But in the back end with Buildship, we're saying, hey, create a new user and then create a new password. And we're doing all this stuff in the back end, which is a secure environment. So yeah, I mean, I think that is to answer your question around the rules. We're able to work above the rules in the back end. So even though in the front end, right, the Firestore rules in that you can manage in Firestore and FlutterFlow, those are front end related stuff. So,
Yep.
and I mean some back end related stuff as well. But yeah, you can correct me on that because I'm not a engineer, right?
No, you're spot on. I think we can definitely go deeper into that in the future. But as
Yeah.
I know right now, that when it comes to Buildship, we're basically just giving them access to read and write. So nothing like spectacular outside of that is happening. And because so in Buildship, if we wanted to, we could add a API key to our API, which means that like not anybody can use it. Right now, we don't need API key because you're just going to put it in our app. But imagine if we want it to be somewhat secure, we can make sure we add an API key to ensure anybody can't read and write or use that API. And that will create some security. But yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. So now that I gave Buildship access to read and write from a database,
Yep.
so I'm going to go back to Buildship
Let's
and I'm going to
that
test that
thing out.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to test this same node out and then it should work. Yep, it worked.
Dick, come on now. User created successfully right there. That's sweet. All right, everybody save this portion of the live stream when you do this, right? If you're getting errors, that's why. It's because you probably didn't give the right permissions to Buildship. All right. Yep. I'm gonna rewatch this live stream.
No, I appreciate it. So what I like to do before I build in FlutterFlow, like I take this and build in FlutterFlow, I just like to test. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, so I have a quick question.
Yep.
So you know how I'm pulling in the user ID right here. So I could add a flow where I search for that user and then basically add that user ID here. But I don't know if we have to do that for the test, like what we're doing now. It's not that big of a deal. But
yeah,
that was just one thing I thought about because we're passing in the user ID, but currently we're not using it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we need it. So we can right now I sent you in the private chat the URL that we're going to redirect the user to in the email.
Perfect.
And it's just a login page.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
What private chat?
In Restream.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Cool.
Defeats the purpose of private chat if you show everybody, but
yeah, I agree. I didn't know how else I was going to do it. But yeah. Work with me, Andrew. Work with me. Okay, we have that. And anyone that's watching this, if you use Resend, I really recommend for you to test like this. But if you really want to make your email look better, leverage AI, take this, tell AI to create like a nice aesthetically pleasing email in HTML, and then copy that and put it here, and it will send the HTML document. So
nice. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we did that with a client, right? And I really loved what you did. I was like, oh, dude, that's sick. So yeah, if you you know HTML and CSS, right? It's fairly easy. So
Yeah. Okay, so we have that. So what I'm actually going to do is come here and I'm going to test this. So to test, I'm going to come to body, going to set up a JSON or object, and then I'm going to go to email. And then this is going to be an array. So I'm going to pass in array, and then I'm just going to pass in, let's say 2 emails. So I'm going to do Moses test1 at gmail.com. And then I'm going to do another one, Moses test2 at gmail.com. Actually, I'm going to do my actual email so we can see it being sent. Cool. So let's test that. 2 users have been created.
nice.
And I just heard my phone vibrate, so I got the email.
Ooh.
Let's go to my email. My only fear is that that link is not going to be a link. Oh, it is a link.
Ooh, come on now.
Cool. So we got the
See?
email, got the
Yep.
password, and then if I
Boom.
come here,
And you can just use some static HTML, CSS, right? Oh yeah, terrible. Oh, looky there. Try to log in.
I shouldn't have copied that. I know that. I need to copy the password.
Yeah, yeah, I always do that, dude. It's all good. It's all good.
Cool. So that worked. That worked. I'm in.
I love that. All right, sick.
Yeah.
I need to update it. So, yeah. Okay. Now what we should do
Cool.
is we should hook it up in the front end, right? So you have
Yes.
access to
Yes.
that. I've
Cool.
I've adapted some things. So, yeah, we should be good to go. I
I want to point out something. So when you're using resend, when it comes to attachments, this is an array. So make sure that there's some closed brackets here so when you run it, you don't get an error. So as you can see, I got an error because I didn't have these here. So once I added them and I come back to test or ship, it should ship. And if you're new to Buildship, shipping is basically you deploying your API. So once I ship it, it's going to give me an endpoint. I'm going to copy this endpoint URL, and then I'm going to go back to FlutterFlow, and that's going to be the endpoint URL that I'm going to use to call the API. So I'm going to go down FlutterFlow. Let me zoom out. Beautiful. And then I'm going to come to our API calls. I'm going to go to add, create API call. Going to be invite user. It's going to be a post. Then the API URL is going to be the same URL we copied from Buildship. And then if you're new to creating APIs in FlutterFlow, basically we're going to match the exact format that we use in order to test the API in Buildship. So if we go back to Buildship and we go to test, we can see we have a body and we have an email, and the email is going to be an array. So we're going to do that same thing. And in FlutterFlow, instead of it being called an array, it's going to be a list of strings. So it's going to be JSON. We're going to come down and we're going to do quotation, email, quotes. And then we're going to come down to variables, add variable, emails, type is going to be a string, and then a list of true. Then we're going to come down and pass that through. Beautiful. So now that we have our body set up, I'm going to test this. So I'm going to test this by using, you can guess it, Moses test 3. I think what's interesting, Andrew, you probably know more about this than me, but when it comes to testing in this environment, how do you pass in an array? Because I never really understood how to do that.
Bro, if you were Connor, you would know not to ask me that. I designed this whole
Okay.
thing, and
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything about APIs,
Okay.
man. Like
It's cool. It's cool. We already
even designing this. I was
Yeah.
designing it blind.
Yeah.
Which
You're
is really
good.
sad. But dude, freaking Alex at FlutterFlow is a genius and amazing. You know, all the entire dev team at FlutterFlow is awesome. So they were like, "Hey, this is sort of what we need." I was like, "Cool, I'll design it. I don't know what we actually need," and it sort of came out to this, and it works. So I don't know how you do it actually. I apologize.
Yeah, we tested it in the backend, so I'm like 99% sure it's going to work.
Yeah.
So I say we just run with it because yeah, every time I pass in a list, I never get to work here because every time I try to either put in that or put in just the email, it says provided list string is invalid. So yeah. So I'm going to take this. We deployed it. We're going to come to the front end. And I personally like to leverage action blocks. Shout out to Andrew for teaching me that. By not teaching
Yeah.
me, by just showing me through the apps we were building. And I was like, this is amazing because I could just reuse actions. So we're going to
Yeah.
use the action block and I'm going to call it invite user. Great. And then we're going to define the parameters. So the parameter, so I'm going to come down, image emails, delete this second parameter. It's going to be a string and it's going to be a list. Cool. And then we're going to add action and we're going to add the API call. So come down to API call, invite user, and then the variable is going to be emails, of course, because that's a variable we set. And then the
Yep.
value, they're looking for a list, and we're going to go to action parameters, emails. And then we already know it's a list, so no further changes. Then confirm. Beautiful. And then we're going to probably set maybe a snack bar saying user invited, and then false is going to be, we're just going to put an error. And then we can do some error handling in the future. So snack bar, email, well, user invited. I'm actually going to do something that in my head makes more sense than just user invited. I'm going to take the actual number. So I'm going to go to action parameters, go to email. I'm going to go list contains item, no number of items, confirm. Actually, I'm going to do combine text. I'm moving too fast. Combine text.
Okay. I
It's
love
going to
combined tech.
be, yeah,
One of my favorite
action
things.
parameters, number of items, confirm. I'm going to add this for space. Actually, I can keep this because I can just add space here. So imagine it's 2 emails. I say 2 users have been invited.
Nice.
Underscore confirm. And then false is going to be, I'm just going to put an error.
Nice.
Cool. Well, I have no idea what just happened.
I'm sort of in the project, so hopefully it's not me.
um, yeah, I think I'm just going to terminate it for now. So looks like we're good. We have no errors. So what I'm going to do is go to that page that we're inviting a user, which is invite users.
Yep.
Come down to send invites. Go to open and then on tap, we're going to add an action and it's going to be from our action blocks. So invite user, we're going to pass in the email and I believe you save that to a component state, right? The list of emails.
Yes.
Yep, email
Yep. List
list.
emails
Beautiful.
to the on state.
Beautiful. So confirm. So we have that. We already set up the action, so we're good there. Yeah, and then maybe we want to close that component once they
Yeah, that makes sense. I hate it
would it
when you
be yeah. What are you saying?
I always hate it when you do an action, right? You trigger an action and you don't get any feedback or you don't know like why, it just sort of sits there and it hangs, right? You have to dismiss it. I always add like dismiss action and like a snack bar or some sort of feedback to the user. My wife calls it insurance feedback or feedback insurance, she says she coined the term, right? She's not a UX designer, but she said she coined the term feedback insurance, that you allow the user to know you did, you took action on something, it happened, and now we're working on whatever else. So I sort of like it. Feedback insurance it is.
I agree. I agree. And so we're dismissing it. And to make sure I'm right, Andrew, we dismissed the bottom sheet, right? Is that
Dismiss a custom
dismiss the
dialog.
component? Okay, that's what I
It'll be a
thought.
custom dialog. Yep.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Since it's on desktop, we're going to be using dialogues.
I keep getting that. I
Dialogo.
don't know what that means.
Yeah, that's
Like this
weird.
screen? Yeah.
Dude, we're going to have to, I think that's a FlutterFlow error, I think. I'm out of that one.
That usually
So there's
happens
no
in
longer.
programming.
Yeah.
Yeah. It happens in programming where there's like data trying to be rendered, but there's no data. Um, yeah, the same thing's happened
Yeah.
here. I'm going to refresh my screen because we're about done and I want us to be able to test for the
Yeah.
viewers.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. We want to. We all want to. We can just we can mask it if not. I can do it in the front end and then you can, do it in the back end and we'll get the email and then we'll log in. Fake it, right? That's how everybody else does it.
Let's try one more time and this doesn't work. Yes. This is interesting. It's not even pulling in the component. Wait, no. I'm I'm wrong. I'm looking for component state.
Nice.
Beautiful. And then we're just going to dismiss it. Um, hopefully this doesn't cause their dismiss custom dialog. Beautiful. Let's close out. We have one
Are we
error.
doing are we having a created time when we're creating the user? Can we add a created time just like current time? Because I'm sorting the
Yes.
user list by created time.
Yes. 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 That's one thing that as you can see on some of our projects, that's one thing that is kind of tricky in Buildship.
Ah,
Uh, yeah. So let's save that for next time because I don't want it to
cool.
cause an error. Yeah,
You got it.
because what I did for one of our projects, I basically created the users and then I sent back the IDs. And then I basically, in the back end for FlutterFlow, I just looped through each and then I created a created time in FlutterFlow,
Gotcha.
which,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense. All
yeah.
right. I'll just remove the order by. That'll be easy enough.
Okay, so I'm going to publish this
Cool.
so we can test it. Cool.
Yep. I also have it in
Definitely.
test mode up and running.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
share your screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I can share my screen.
Let me move
Sure,
this.
sure.
Let
Let
me
me make
stop.
sure. I'm gonna make sure my user has okay. James, Andrew. Oh, Andrew at FlutterFlow. That's how long I've been here. That's how long I've been using this. Give me a second. Yeah, there it is. Okay. User status.
While you do that, I'm going to read some of these comments. A lot of people are saying that Buildship is kind of difficult.
I
Uh,
think it has to do
like,
with just the. Yep.
yeah,
And
Eli
if I
said, yeah, what I find difficult in Buildship is that when you need to customize stuff, even though you have AI, you still don't really know what's going on. Would love to hear from the both of you. Sounds like we need to do workshops with Buildship more often, Andrew.
we do. Oh, dude, it's the
Yeah.
number one requested. The number one requested thing, like in live stream and everything. Everybody requests Buildship. Like whenever we have a Buildship live stream, it's the most viewed. Like when I've had Harani on and stuff, it is everybody wants to know. Okay, so let's see. I'm in my little guy here. I'll do my entire screen just so you guys can. So if we need to make adjustments, we can. So
Cool.
we have our app here. And we have our, our dashboard tasks here. We have users here. We have obviously like this sick, it's up reloading. We have this sick, collapsible, expandable nav bar, which is very, very needed for this, you know. So we'll say Andrew for Kaleo.design. We'll add that to the list. We'll send the invite. Boom. See, we need to show a snack bar. You have
I
sent.
thought I showed a snack bar. I
You
showed a
may
snack
have.
bar on the action block.
You may have. Let's see.
Let's look in Buildship to see. Did you get an email?
Well, I'll check and see. I need to do it on my other desktop though, so you guys don't see all of my emails.
It failed. Yeah, email address is already used by another account.
Oh,
So
dude.
use,
Yeah.
yeah,
Of course it is.
yeah, because you're creating an account, so you have to make sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anybody that's watching, this is why error handling is so important.
Oh,
Yeah,
it broke.
because at the end of the day, like a user wouldn't have known what happened, but you showing some type of snack bar telling them what happened is very important.
Yep. And since snack bars don't necessarily show up on, sorry, give me a second. I'm going to try to get my since snack bars don't show up in this, right? Because they're the dialogue, it shows up underneath. What you can do is you can do a component state error here. That's what I do on my modals. Like when I want something like this, I just show a little
That's important.
error down here that says, it's a component state. So it says show error is a Boolean, right? If something happens and there's a error, then we'll show that and we'll put a message there. So all right, now we'll send an invite. Looks like it's doing it. One user has been invited. Nice. Sick. Now let's
And I'm looking at the back end and it looks like it was successful.
all right, cool. Now I need to see why my users collection isn't loading. Let's see. Because there are more users than just the one.
This is interesting. Email address is already used by another account.
Yeah, how do you do that? How do you get that error?
Let's look in Firebase real quick. I'm looking currently, Firebase database. Is the users are not popping up at all?
Well,
Are you
let
filtering
me
based off team or is it
no,
just
no.
all the users?
I bet you it's mine. I bet you it's mine, right? It's a user rule issue. I bet you I have not turned on, right? User collection is readable to everyone. That's why. Looky there. Look at there. Look at us. Figuring stuff out. Deploying rules.
Facts.
So yeah, we should once this deploys, let's
What's
deploy
the
here.
email address that you use?
Andrew +7 at Kaleo.
Okay. Did you get the email?
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna see. Let's see. Not looking like it. Oh wait, let me see though. Oh yeah, I did. Welcome to our app. Andrew7, password, sign in here. Yeah, I totally got it.
Nice.
Totally got it. Here it is. Andrew7 right here. Looky
Perfect.
there. I mean, dude, that's it. We did it. Okay. Sick. All right, Eli, you want your question answered. Let's see. Wait, I answered that, Eli. Your interesting question.
Why is that FlutterFlow backend business logic API building is very unpopular? Most are doing the logic integrations at front end. Is that the question he's referring to?
I don't know. Let's see. Okay. Would love to hear from both of you. I mean, I thought we did answer that, Eli. Moses had
Yeah.
approached it.
Yeah, I can reiterate the answer.
Yeah.
Let me go. I'm looking for the question again. In other tools, Zeno is popular. Buildship has recently got quite popular, but What I find a bit difficult in Buildship is that you need to customize stuff. Even though you have AI, you still don't really know what's going on. Would love to hear from the both of you. Um, yeah, I think the answer is that we just have to do this more often.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah. And Eli, if I can give any suggestions on how to get better, is one, we'll create more content for you, so you'll have
Yep.
content to consume, and maybe we can package it up where we have like specific apps that we build, and we built the back end for it from start to finish. That will help. And then also maybe like any idea you have, like start very simple and try to build a back end. Like
Yeah.
try to go into Buildship and build and come to our live streams, then ask your questions and then we can answer them.
Yep.
That's my biggest
Yeah,
advice. Yeah.
totally. Totally. And yeah, like I said, I think it has to do with just people not understanding the possibilities, not understanding how to build products, like the we are simple species, right? Humans are a simple species. We work on the things that are presented to us. So the only reason why we know about these things, Moses and I, is because we built a bunch of products, right? I've built over 200 products. Like I've designed over 200 products, right? I've worked with clients like startups, individuals, everything, and I know how to build products. A lot of people don't come with that experience. They don't know or understand like, oh, okay, like we need a secure application. We need to have maybe even HIPAA compliance. We need to make sure that things are written this way or things perform this way, right? We need to make sure that a navigation is intuitive, right? Like all of these things come with experience. So when somebody comes into FlutterFlow and they have a product idea, and then they see that they can build their thing in FlutterFlow, they don't try to explore other tools. They don't try to explore other things. They work on the things that are presented to them in FlutterFlow. And since FlutterFlow is so powerful and you can do a lot of things, they just work in that. So that's why you're seeing a lot of people do things in the front end when it probably should be a back end workflow. It's another tool. It takes a lot of cognitive awareness in order to learn that other tool. So that's what my answer would be. It's just like, yeah, we try to do the simplest things. We try to work on and implement the things that make the most sense to us. Learning a bunch of new tools. FlutterFlow is complicated enough. Trying to learn
Yeah.
FlutterFlow and Buildship and this and that is more than what we can typically handle. Is most likely the case. So
I agree. I agree.
logic and API building like Xano. Okay. Okay. He's also asking like, all right, logic and building like Xano. Yep. Yep. Joseph has a really good point here. You try to break down, right? Try to break down any backend process into smaller parts and tackle the small parts. So utilizing backend, yeah, you can utilize Xano, you can utilize Buildship. I like Buildship because it works with Firebase. Xano is like
Mhm.
its own database as well. And so in order to hook up Xano and FlutterFlow, you have to implement APIs and all this stuff. Like you have to do a lot of extra work. Whereas Buildship automatically integrates with Firebase, like pretty simply. Like we said, like, dude, we hooked this up in an hour. In
Yeah.
my opinion, very impressive. Thank you, Moses.
I
It
appreciate it.
does take experience, right? I couldn't have done that in an hour. Moses can because he's done it multiple times. And then it also integrates with Resend, right? With a tool that can send emails to users. This is extremely important for any SaaS, for any product that you're building. It's something I don't even have in no code UI because I haven't had the time to tackle Buildship and to
Yeah.
tackle Resend and to put all of
Yeah.
these pieces together so that when you complete, a program like the boot camp, you get an email with, a certificate that says, "Hey, you did awesome," or like some proper transactional emails, right? But hey, that's the beauty of this. So thank you. Sorry, that was a little monologue, but
No, you're good.
we
I do
got a
want
lot
to
of
add
people
one
viewing.
thing.
Yeah,
Nice, nice. I want to add one thing. So technically in Buildship, you can integrate with any API because
yeah,
technically Buildship is built off Node.js. So when you're building a backend in Node.js, you can basically integrate with any API. You just have to call the API. So everything you see within Buildship that you can just click and input data, those are basically templates that the
yep,
Buildship team build. And what's
yep,
cool about Buildship 2.0, Actually, I do believe we're going to get early access to that, so it'll
Yeah,
be fun if we do a live stream when we get that.
we
But
should.
they will
We should.
allow every developer to create templates, so we can integrate with APIs that they don't currently have templates. We can create a flow like the user invite, allow other people to use it. So I look forward to that.
Yep, I do too. I do
Yeah,
too. Yeah, and Eli's he's really, he really wants to understand the code, the pieces of code around that. So, do you have any insight into Buildship and like diving more into the code portion of it? Because I know it's possible, just
yeah,
like you would
yeah.
in FlutterFlow. Like each node is a code piece. If you need to reshare your screen, you can. But hey,
Yes, I can.
I love this. I love that we have this invite user. Boom. You could invite multiple users. I'm sure, right? We would need some error handling for when a email already has an existing auth account. So we'll need an error for that, but not bad at all. Thank you so much, Moses. This was phenomenal.
Of
Phenomenal. I'm
course. Can
very,
you see my
very
screen?
happy. I will stop sharing mine and I will share yours. Give me a second. There it is. Yes.
Cool. So this is the flow that we created earlier. As you can see, like I said before, each of these are nodes. So each node has its icon here, the code icon. So if I click it, I can see the code,
Nice.
right? And the cool
Yep.
thing about this, if you know how to code, you can change this how you want to change it, and then you'll be able to save it. And then what I was saying previously is that they have a node called the API call node, where you can basically create any API call to any API.
I love that.
Yeah.
Sick. All right, get it out of there. Get it out of there. We don't need that
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah. We don't
Yeah,
need
don't
it. We don't
don't
need it.
ruin
We
the
don't
thing
need
we
it.
have working. So that's sick, dude.
Yeah,
Awesome. Yeah,
perfect.
Supabase is pretty powerful. We're using it in an app for the first time. I'm using it for the first time in an app. Here, I'll just stop sharing your screen and we'll
Yeah, yeah. I was
do
like,
this.
too much
Yeah.
information. Cool.
Yeah, we're using it for the first time in an app. And I'm loving it. I think I don't love it as much as Firebase personally, but it is cool. So yeah, pretty sick, dude. It's gonna be fun. So awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, Moses, thank you so much for joining. That was pretty good. I'm gonna say I'm very happy with what we accomplished today. Um, Building out user list, invite modal, and an entire backend flow for sending an invite to a user. Now, in all fairness, that's not an hour job, right? It's not an hour job. Moses had some stuff pre-baked. He also has done this twice in the last 2 weeks. So on client projects. So we are reusing some tribal knowledge here. But if you can do this in 3 or 4 hours, I would be impressed with you, right? Like I mean, this is really, really fun, really cool, and something that is so common in most applications and is needed, right? And it's not available out of the box in FlutterFlow. Therefore, just as Eli said, it's not something that you'll see very often. You'll see people just sending an email with an invite, like just doing your launch email or send email action in FlutterFlow with just like, hey, log in here. So it's important that we do things in accordance with best practices, which is, hey, let's do this in the back end. Let's send an email that's designed right. You can use HTML and CSS. You can put a little logo there. You can do a little block. I think in one of the projects you have like a little block. We can utilize typography, like proper typography.
Yep,
You can make it feel normal, feel branded, so that it's
yep.
a unique experience for that user. So really, really cool. I love this. Moses, thank you so much. Everybody,
Of
thanks for
course.
joining. We have 182 on Twitter and YouTube total. I mean, again, I think
Nice.
Restream, I think Twitter sort of amps those numbers, but we'll just say we have 182. Pretty good. Pretty good feeling. So thank you so much. And until next time, we will see you guys.